Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of League of Primos Weekly Review. That's right, we have week number 11 of Lopwar. We're going to have some things to go into. We're going to have the games, obviously, of last week. We're going to have the Wheel of Torture spin, along with the set punishment that goes with that this week. Next week's games, power rankings, and I will go over the current playoff picture. So stay tuned. Let's get into it. So the first game of last week, we had the Hogwarts Wizards versus the Cleese Jumpty Dumpties. This one came down to the wire. It was an above average week for scoring for both of the teams. I feel with multiple people being in double digits, wasn't too bad of a game. The highest score for either person was my kicker, Chris Boswell, with 24 points, who did outscore Josh Allen, who had 23.8 points, but a 28-yard go-ahead rushing touchdown by Josh Allen, followed by the next drive, Patrick Mahomes getting a 20-yard rush called back due to a holding, and then throwing a pick on the next play was the deciding factor. That's the difference to it. Cleese Jumpy Dumpties losing 115.14, Hogwarts Wizards 119.78. The next game we have is Tavat Tanks versus the Red Lobster Cheddar Biscuits. Bot strikes again. He started two people who were not playing, but this is not a knock at all, to the Cheddar Biscuits, because they scored a whopping 173.54 points this week. That's even with starting Olave, who is on the IR right now, and the KC defense, who has 0 points. For him, Joe Burrow gave him 34.04 points, Cook added 19.7, 23.3 from Lad McConkey, 19.5 from Joshua Downs, and Little Caesar Pizza fanatic Amon-Ra St. Brown with a whopping 43.7 points to add there, winning 173.54 to 80.04. After that, we have the Bin Laden Bombers versus the El Hamburglers. A pretty good scoring game for the most part. El Hamburglar got 35.6 from Cooper Kupp, 25.1 from Juwan Jennings, and 33.6 from James Winston, which should be enough to eat some W's. However, was not enough this week. Bin Laden bombed his chances of winning. 29.8 from Safford, 40.8 from Saquon, 11.1 from Dallas Goedert, but the difference maker being Taysom Hill. Taysom do it all Hill with a whopping 50.52 points this week. Just an insane stat line. What are you going to do with a guy like him? He had 138 yards rushing, including a 75 rushing yard touchdown, 3 total rushing touchdowns, 8 receptions for 50 yards, 1 interception, 1 fumble, and 18 yards passing. That's just the most insane stat line you're ever going to hear out of a fantasy. Taysom Hill, after this week, has a total of 101.64 fantasy points on the year. So he just doubled his output this last week for the entire year. Will he do it again? Probably not this week because he's on a bye. Will he do it again in the remainder of the season? Probably not. How many people are going to be scoring 50 points like that? After that, we have Kevin's awesome team versus the Big Tree City Big Bears. Another good scoring game. Kevin had 25.52 from Hawk Tua, 31.1 from Breece Hall, 20.5 from Etienne, and 19.7 from Valdez Scantling. Nick had a great average scoring, but no one really stepped up to the plate and had some big numbers for him. Lamar Jackson, who was for some reason always bad against the Steelers, only giving him 40.88 points. McCaffrey only with 14.6 points, but he's also coming back from being on the IR for the entire year. That left pipe that Allison took to his knee was pretty painful. Now he's just trying to get back into the flow of things. He did get 24 from Christian Watson, however, was not enough to win the game. Kevin's awesome team 143.32 to the Big Tree City Big Bears 121.28. Following that up, we had the game of the week from last week, the Abe Lincoln Russian Trombones versus Lauren's Optimum team. With playoff hopes and win streaks on the line, this game was the game of the week, and unfortunately happened to be the lowest scoring game of the week. Unfortunately, Lauren's team, just like my parents, my 5th grade and middle school graduation, did not show up. Only 2 people in double digits, with Jordan Love with 20.24 points, DJ Moore with 13.7 points, Jaceki got her 0, Raheem Mostert got her a whopping negative 0.2 points. Abe Lincoln didn't do too much better with only 109.46 points, but he did get 23.36 from Cooper Big Time Rush and 26.5 from Jamar Chase, giving him the win 109.46 to 69, nice 0.44. We then have Kevin James Hot versus Branditos Banditos. Kevin James Hot came into the week with the most points scored in the league and continues to add to that margin here. Scored a whopping 229.3 to Brandon's 112.94 points. A whopping 116.36 point differential there. 112 points is nothing to be upset about for Brandon. But, I mean, Kevin James Hott had everyone but his QB score into double digits. He had 5 players with 23 or more points, including 3 players with 35 or more points. He had 42.3 from Joe Mixon, 34.8 from T. Higgins, 36.3 from Brock Bowers, 23.4 from Josh Jacobs, and 28.6 from Smith and Jigba. He even got 17 from Houston's defense. I mean, absolute domination in this one. I mean, you can't really help him. It just looks like Banditos needs a Band-Aido because that makes that 5 losses in a row, and he needs to stop the bleeding. This gets us into our last game of the week. We had I Pay My Taxes versus Jack Sparrow's tight ends. I think Simi at this point has checked out at all because, I mean, he started Kyler Murray on a bye who was most likely playing Call of Duty during this Sunday's games. He did get 24.5 from David Montgomery, 30.3 from Puka Nacua, but, was not enough. Christian had an all-right week. Again, 120, nothing to scoff at. Highest scores were a tie 19.1 from Tyreek Hill and David Njoku, and Brock Purdy adding 18.36 and an L as well. Jack Sparrow's tight ends winning 119.66 to I Pay My Taxes 86 points. And you know what? Honestly, great week from everybody. I mean, there were only, I think, 1 or 2 teams that didn't score over 100 points. That's not bad. Also, I'm going to call out some names here. Allison, David, Botbot, Jesse, White Christian, Dark Christian, Daniel, Kevin, Nick Brust, Nick Smith, Lauren, Dylan, Simi, and even Brandon, who has unfortunately lost 5 weeks straight. If I have listed your name in this list, congratulations, you have one more recent than the Dallas Cowboys. Also, fun fact, Cowboys have not won a home game this year. That makes Texas A&M, the men's national soccer team, and Jake Paul all having more recent wins at AT&T Stadium than the Dallas Cowboys. And also, fun fact, in their last 6 home games, Dallas has led 2 minutes and 15 seconds in total, which was all in week 6 when they kicked a field goal on their opening drive against the Lions. And this time they have been down by 20 for more than 109 minutes and 2 seconds. And I just bathe in the tears of the Dallas Cowgirls fans. But hey, I know we have 5 Super Bowls. That's cool. They can go blow off their VHS tapes to watch their last Super Bowl win in 1995, before there was such thing as a salary cap and Jerry Jones was just buying all his players. This gets us into our highest and lowest scorers of the week. Our highest scorer being Kevin James Hott once again. I believe this is his 5th time being the highest scorer of the week, which makes sense. He currently leads the league in most points scored, 1,713.6, which is 104.52, more than the second place El Hamburglers. A force to be reckoned with come playoffs. And I'm low-key running out of songs to play here. And, I reached out to him about the offensive explosion he had during this week, and he had to say, my team must have been at Diddy parties with how many touches they were getting. Shout out to Brock for putting dirt in their eyes. Diddy parties. That can be a slippery slope. But let's play the music.
Mad Sweat.
Red Rippling Mad Sweat. Red Rippling Mad Sweat. Spending all my money on some Red Rippling Mad Sweat. Just got my paycheck, you know I'm gonna cash that. Gonna spend my money on some Red Rippling Mad Sweat.
Your ex is on, wanting Rhea's perspiration and wanting her chokel just to feel some sensation.
And then we have our lowest score of the week. It wasn't Botbot this week, but unfortunately it was Lauren with 69.44 points. I reached out to Lauren about her performance this week, to which she responded, my official statement is that the league should have no fear. I will be back on top, or not the bottom at least, next week. I'm sorry I had to do this to you this week, Lauren, but let's go ahead and play the music.
And my team will just fumble the ball. I'm just wanting to win, but I can't win at home. Fantasy, I'm giving up on you.
And that gets us into our League of Primos Torture Wheel. I lost last week, which means there is a name change afoot. Please watch this presentation. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Welcome to a special presentation. The team who left overnight. Yes, this is a recounting tale of how the Cleese Jumpty Dumpties, former champions, reigning champions, decided to leave overnight in a shocking decision that really shook the core of the League of Primos. I will recount some tales for you that are akin to when the Baltimore Colts left for Indianapolis. A tale of tragedy, a tale of woes, and a tale of rebirth. So please take a seat and enjoy the team who left overnight. You see, it was a year like no other. Cleese Jumpty Dumpties were the reigning champions of the League of Primos. They were riding high going into a brand new season. They got the middle of the pack pick, drafting Bijan Robinson with the first overall pick, and then Patrick Mahomes with the second. They were riding high. The GM thought they made a big splash. But at the beginning of the season, there were some woes they had to do. Bijan Robinson wasn't performing. Patrick Mahomes wasn't performing. And he just didn't know where to turn. He drafted Devontae Adams, who was on a team he didn't want to be on, who started getting injured, to say the least. He traded that for Terry McLaurin, but teams thought that Bijan Robinson was the right pick to make there. Unfortunately, this put the GM in a tight position. What is he going to do? Did he make the right decision? Well, here's what happens when you make the wrong decisions. You see, and then bad decisions were made. Team morale was down. The team thought they could play better, but they just weren't. The fans were getting restless and unhappy. And then that's when the rumors started. Cleese Jumpty Dumpties, possible relocation? They asked him many, many times, but here's what the response was from him.
Hey, Cleese Jumpty Dumpties, are you moving anytime soon?
No comment.
Well, but the rumors are
no
you're moving.
comment.
I just want to get to
Get the camera out of my
talk to me.
face.
Well, hey.
And then that's when he decided to pull the trigger.
So you ready for this, sir?
Yeah, I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
So why relocation right now?
Listen, it was a tough decision. And don't get me wrong, I really do love the fans that we grew over here over the past several years. But at the end of the day, a decision needed to be made. And unfortunately, I made that decision.
And what about the rumors that just the pressure from the fans was too much?
No, don't get me wrong, I love the fans here. It has nothing to do with them.
So then why are you just getting lazy? Why are you giving up?
No, don't question my work ethic. I went in there every single week doing what I did as a GM to put the best team on the field as I possibly could. And you know what? We got 2 championships out of that. I worked my butt off week in and week out for this team, for this city. And this is how they repay me. They call for my job. They call for my family. I'm receiving death threats. I'm receiving letters in the mail saying, oh, you suck. Oh, why'd you trade Bijan Robinson? Oh, whatever happened to the All Cowboys team? That's not on me. I did what I had to do.
And that turned out so well.
Did you think you could do better?
Probably not any worse.
Oh, yeah. You know what? No. You know what? Screw this city. I worked my butt off, and this is how I'm repaid with. I have 2 rings to prove for it, and this is how you repay me. Sure, we had some bad decisions this year. Sure, maybe we made some off calls this year, but those calls were made for the best of this team. And if you're going to treat me like that, you know what? I'm done. No, I'm out of here. No wonder we're relocating. And it's because of dumbasses like you. And overnight, Cleese Jumpty Dumpties relocated and were no more. It was a very, very, very mixed fan base. You had a lot of fans who were very unhappy with the decision.
Are you more angry or saddened?
I think both, a combination of both. I just can't believe this has happened.
Some of the older generation are still bitter. A lot of people have moved on, but they haven't forgotten. One of the biggest points of contention is that people would have liked to have been able to keep the name.
Out of town at night, it degrades a great tradition of the city in football.
He stinks, and I don't like him.
But then, amongst those fans were people who were looking forward to it, who were excited that the Cleese Jumpty Dumpties were no more, deciding to move off to better pastures.
I remember the name Cleese Jumpty Dumpties. I also remember how we used to be a great team. then 2024 happened. The GM of our team was hot garbage. I mean, you can't spell Clee Jumpty Dumpties without an L. There's 0 W's in that name. I mean, if that doesn't say anything about our team, I don't know what will, except for me. You know, I'm quite happy that we decided to sell the team. You know, we had 0 management. Isaiah Pacheco was getting outperformed by Kareem Hunt. I mean, yes, he was injured. But so was my pride that year. I'm glad we sold the team. Let them be bad somewhere else. Let me just be in peace.
What is your thoughts on the name change of Clee Jumpty Dumpties?
New name, way better.
Way better?
Way better.
Yeah? Is it only because you came up with it, or?
It's tasteful.
It's tasteful? Yeah. So, what was the
It's
inspiration?
definitely none of your suggestions.
True.
Inspiration is, well, the David Trash.
Oh.
And he's moving to Knoxville.
Yeah. David, we're excited for you to come.
Yes,
but,
we are.
Yeah, I don't know. Any other comments, questions? I mean, like, do you have any history, significance with, the name Clee's Jumpty Dumpties? Or did you not even know who Clee was?
This is karma for David beating me last year in the final.
True.
This is my revenge game.
Was this the right decision to make? At the end of the day, who knows? Some say it was by chance. Some say it was to grab opportunity. Others say it may have been from a random wheel spin that was made for a torture punishment a week ago. But who really knows? But to break this off, to end this piece, we say goodbye to Clee's Jumpty Dumpties. And who better to do that than somebody we've said goodbye to? We need a eulogy for the team.
Dear friends, rivals, and fantasy fanatics, today we gather not in grief, but in celebration. A celebration of the explosive legacy of Clee's Jumpty Dumpties. A team name so whimsical, so destructive in spirit, it could only have been inspired by the brightest and most chaotic of Genshin Impact's characters, Clee herself. Clee's Jumpty Dumpties wasn't just a name. It was a beacon of unbridled fun and fiery determination. It lived by the philosophy of its namesake, who once said, "Hey, let's go fish blasting." Clee 1-4. These sacred words remind us to approach life and fantasy football with a sense of adventure, a touch of recklessness, and an appreciation for a good explosion. Clee's Jumpty Dumpties reminded us all that fantasy football, like Clee's bombs, is about embracing chaos. Sometimes you land a perfect hit, and other times, well, your star player might blow up your chances at victory. But through it all, Clee's Jumpty Dumpties carried a sense of fun that could only be rivaled by the adorable sound of Clee's laughter, echoing through Mondstadt's burning fields. And let us not forget the team's reputation. Fearless in its decisions, unapologetic in its risks, and always ready to detonate the draft board with unexpected picks. Did those risks always pan out? Maybe not. But like a well-placed Jumpty Dumpty, the journey was always worth the explosion. Now, as we say goodbye to Clee's Jumpty Dumpties, let us honor its legacy. A legacy of boldness, creativity, and a little bit of mischief. Though the name may be retired, its spirit lives on in the explosions of laughter it brought to our league. Clee's Jumpty Dumpties, you will forever hold a special place in the league's lore. May your memory remind us all to play with passion, embrace chaos, and always have fun. Because after all, that's what Clee would want. As we bid farewell to Clee's Jumpty Dumpties, let us take comfort in the wisdom Clee shared. Grounded be thy woe. Rest in power.
And there you have it. Clee's Jumpty Dumpties are no more. We remember the good times. We cherish the good times. But we also learn from the bad. May this new opportunity bring forth greener pastures, bring forth some W's, and potentially at least the first overall pick. I kind of hope I, at least win the consolation brackets. I really have no hope for the playoffs at this point. But without further ado, I release to you the new and improved artist formerly known as Cleese Jumpty Dumpies. And that is right. The new team name is I Put the Trash in Trash Pandas. A rebrand, just showing how I am trash. Thanks, Allison. I already kind of made that clear in that interview. Thanks a lot, Allison. But also, I am moving to Huntsville. I'm very excited about that. And what way to do it than with the Trash Pandas. But this is a new week, which means I have to have a new punishment. So let's go ahead and spin that wheel. All right, we're going for escalators this week, boys. Escalators, escalators, escalators. What will the punishment be? Cut random player using wheel spinner right in time for playoffs. All right, so my punishment is if I lose this week, I must cut a random player from my team. Any player, I will put all of them on a wheel, spin it, whoever is on there, I cut, and it's free game for one of you guys to grab. That could be a nail. That could be a nail in the coffin there. I gotta win this week because that could be rough. And that's going to get us into our power rankings this week. We're going to go from 14 to 1. I guess this week, though, you could call it, if I call your name out, this is a list of people who have scored the same amount of touchdown passes as Caleb Williams this month. So let's go 14 to 1. We got 14, I Pay My Taxes. 13, Branditos Banditos. 12, Tavat Tanks. 11, Lawrence Optimum Team. 10, the new I Put the Trash in Trash Pandas. At 9, Big Tree City Big Bears. 8, Abe Lincoln Russian Trombones. 7, we got Red Lobster Cheddar Biscuits. 6, Bin Laden's Bombers. A crazy story, though. Preseason, he was ranked 13, and he is now 6th and in playoffs spot right now, which is completely crazy. What a good way to turn your season around there. At 5, Kevin's Awesome Team. 4, Kevin's James Hot. Even hotter with 200 points this past week. At 3, Elham Burglar, who even after the loss only moves 1 back. 2, Jack Sparrow's tight end, moving 1 up. And then, of course, Alwison at number 1, Hogwarts Wizards. And that's going to get us into our playoff picture. The playoff bracket has shifted a little bit now. So let's go over the seeding if it were to end today. The 4th and 5th seed would be Kevin James Hot and Kevin's Awesome Team. 6 versus 3 seed would be Red Lobster Cheddar Biscuits versus Elham Burglars. The 2 versus 7 seed would be Bin Laden's Bombers versus Hogwarts Wizards. And the Jack Sparrow tight ends would get the first round bye and the first overall seed. Why? I actually have absolutely no clue, to be honest. Allison and Christian have the same record, and Allison won the head-to-head. So that really doesn't make much sense to me. The only thing I went back and looked at could be because of the point scored tiebreaker, which Christian has a 56-point lead on as of right now. I was also really bored looking at those. I did the math. Christian may be benefiting from the fact that he has allowed the least amount of points, which means the opponents he's played have scored the least points out of anybody in the league when they're playing him. Is his first place ranking a Mickey Mouse first seed? I mean, only time will tell, but there's 3 weeks into the playoffs. Allison and Christian have already clinched their spots, so congratulations. So now for them, it's all about seeding. Everybody else still tries to march on to the playoffs. And that's going to get us into our last part. That's going into next week's games. We have the I Put the Trash in Trash Pandas versus I Paid My Taxes. And, loser is pretty much eliminated from playoff contention, so this is almost a win or go home game. After that, we have Red Lobster Cheddar Biscuits versus the Hogwarts Wizards. Again, Hogwarts Wizards have already clinched a playoff spot. They are eyeing that first seed, and the Red Lobster Cheddar Biscuits are looking to stay in the playoff picture. With their win last week, they're right now winning tiebreakers to be in the playoffs. At the next game, we have Elham Burglar versus Tavat Tanks. This is, I feel like, a practical gimme game for the Elham Burglar team, considering Bot does not change his lineups. Especially if Elham Burglar remembers to take out his Falcons players before the week starts. We then have the Big Tree City Big Bears versus the Bin Laden Bombers, both bubble teams right now. Big Bears needing a win to stay in the hunt. Bin Laden looking not to be taken out of the hunt and to stay in the playoff picture there. We then have Lawrence Optimum Team versus Kevin's Awesome Team. Lauren looking to stay in the hunt as well, while Kevin is trying to solidify his spot. He's at the 5th spot right now, so he's in the middle of the pack there, but he's looking high and pretty. He only needs to make the 7th seed, and he almost basically has that lock with a couple more wins here. Lauren lost last week, so she needs to keep winning because she's about a game or two back of one of these spots in the playoffs. So anybody's game at this point. After that, we have Brandios Banditos versus Abe Lincoln's Rusty Trombones. With a loss here, Brandon would be eliminated from playoff contention, and Abe Lincoln now does not have the tiebreaker for the playoff spot, so a win here would be huge in trying to push him into the playoffs, with Red Lobster Cheddar Biscuits playing the Hogwarts Wizards this week. And then we have our game of the week, the last game. We have Kevin James Hot versus Jack Sparrow's tight ends. Jack Sparrow's tight end coming into the playoff. Jack Sparrow's tight end is coming into the week already clinching a playoff spot. However, they are trying to lock down that 1 seed with Allison right behind him. He's basically breathing out his neck at this point, while Kevin James Hot is looking to stay hot and possibly push into a higher seed by the end of the week and by the end of the season. It's going to be a good game there. I hope you guys had a kick out of this episode. I really enjoyed it. And, if you did have a kick out of this episode, I hope the Packers don't block it. Mwah! Good night, everybody.